Well, you probably saw the title. Wuthering Waves now has a villain. And I know you may probably look at that, and some of you are like, well, they've always had a villain. You know, Thrnodians, they're the villain stuff. And other of you are like, no, no. I think they do now, though, and that's what I think as well, all right? That's what I think. And who is that villain? Um, Cristoforo. Cristoforo is that villain. And I think they did such a good job. The best stories overall in TV shows, movies, and video games, they have a identifiable villain you can dislike. And it doesn't matter, he has different ways of being evil or something, someone to dislike the target. Because an idea is hard to go against. A ominous thing like a Fernodian is a villain, but it's not a villain you can identify and really hate, especially when it doesn't look human. And I think that's what they really captured here with Cristoforo, is it's a human identifiable that you just dislike how he acts. And one example I'm going to give here is with Code Geass, all right? And if you haven't watched it, I suggest you watch it. But I'm going to spoil a bit of it in a second, all right? So keep out. At the end, how it gets resolved is Lelouch becomes the main villain. In essence, the world hates him because they don't. It's hard for a world to hate an idea or hate a philosophy and stuff like that, or an imaginary thing like a ship. It's hard for them to hate that, but it's really easy to hate a villain. You know, we've had some great. We've had some interesting villains in the real world. You know, Osama bin Laden. You know, the entire West hated him after 9/11. Hitler, you know, he's a pretty important one. A lot of people, you know, it's a villain right there, right? And that's an identifiable person to dislike, to target, to hate. And I think they've really captured that in Wuthering Waves, all right, with Cristoforo. And so maybe I could be wrong. I'm not a lore guy here, so maybe actually he's not a villain. But I think they've set him up to be the villain. Now we've had we have the Fraxidus, and they're kind of our enemies we fight. We're against them. But there's this whole philosophy of maybe we're working with them. Maybe they have this whole goal that's going to match up with us. You know, we have Frolova coming out, and people she's a villain, but kind of people are thinking she's like an anti-villain in a weird way, or she's playing both sides. And then Scar's kind of always been a likable villain where you don't really hate him that much. But Cristoforo, he's our third big Fraxidus guy, and he really captures this villain aspect. And I want to talk about that. And this is kind of me talking about just the 2.4 story, Heart or Flames of Heart itself as a whole, but as like a story review. But this is also just me talking about how we've leveled up in the storytelling with Hua. And I think, you know, we've all experienced this from 1.0 release leading up to 2.0's big hitter, and then moving over in the 2.2 is the story got better as it progressed. Obviously, a massive jump in 2.0 with how they executed the story is better. But there was always this kind of missing thing, a key villain to dislike. And I think they've captured that with this 2.4 story, Flames of Heart. And I'm sitting over here, I'm looking at the game right now. I'm looking at the script or the plot and stuff like that. I'm watching how people talk, and you really just dislike this guy. He's a real motherfucker. Like if you watch any reaction, other CCs react and play the 2.4 story, and Cristoforo pops up at the end of that cutscene of the Flames of Heart, and they're like, fuck you, I'm gonna kill you, I hate you, you're a bastard. That's the thing. That's the thing that needed, all right? I feel like that was the last key point Wua needed to make this story really shine, all right? And they got it. They got a villain. Like, if you went through this story, you're listening to Cristoforo talk about Mia, and he's just, I'll just read some quotes off here. A death so theatrical, so saturated with sorrow, how poetic, how beautifully tragic. He's enthralled with how Mia died. And that's just, you just dislike that because, you know, we didn't really get too attached with Mia, but we got attached to Mia enough where some people, like me, wanted her as a 4-star. Or were actually sad that she just fucking died and stuff. And she went out like a fucking G. Let's talk about that. She, the whole back and forth between how Cardathea and Mia are both daughters of the Thrnodian, but Cardathea was strong enough and had the willpower to fight through it and push back and go against it. But Mia wasn't like that, and she couldn't fight back in that round. So she took a really sad way to go, and that was to kill herself and delay until someone like Carthea could come over with us and Lupa. And gosh, I'm talking about this and I have shivers. I haven't, like, why do I have shivers right now? Because it was so well done. And yes, we got a character death. Some people were like, let's kill off a 5-star. That's not going to happen. We all know this, a gotcha game. But I think what they did is they did a really good job with Mia, that you could actually get somewhat of, not like a, what's what I'm looking for. You're not attached to her, but you have, I forget the word, but I think someone will tell me it. And someone will say, oh, it's this word. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. But Cristoforo is this villain. And, maybe for these lore nerds, the guys that read every line, unlike me, they go, oh, no, Cristoforo's actually on our side. But I have to disagree. He's got this, like, degree of dislikability, like, actually evil. And originally when we played 2.0, we're like, oh, this guy's cool. Oh, he's a villain. Oh, okay, he's a villain, but he's kind of a cool villain. No, this guy's a motherfucker, all right? And yeah, he set up this whole goal. Like, he set up the whole Sonoro sphere with a whole script where he was going to replace Lupa with the Threnodians, so Threnodian could get back her power. And fully well aware that either he would be stopped or he wouldn't. He knew I could go out of the way. And he was completely content with Lupa just suffering through complete rewinds of death and living until she just disappeared and Threnodian came out. He was completely content with erasing Lupa. There's not like this, oh, he set up a certain route where we could come save him. No. This guy's fucking evil. All right? And he enjoys it. He enjoys the story of it, him being like, it's all for his own entertainment. And that's something we haven't had yet. Threnodians are just this ominous thing, this ominous hate. Oh my god, it's a Threnodian. Da, 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 da. It's like the good versus evil, the light versus the dark. You can't identify. And like, so, you're a Destiny player, don't hate on me for this, but Destiny always had an issue with this light and dark saga because they didn't have a key identifiable villain that you could actually despise and hate. And I mean, even when they did at the end, Anyways, but I'm rambling. This is the last key thing I feel like Wuthering Waves needed for their storytelling. All right? They have a story. They started executing it well in 2.0 and started fine-tuning it. 2.2, we got this emotional attachment, a proper emotional attachment to the story. Like, shit, I fucking teared up at that ending in 2.2. Let's keep it a buck. But it was still missing a villain. Identifiable, I don't like that guy. And that's Cristoforo. And that's kind of how I feel about this whole story with the 2.4, at least the second part, the Flames of Heart, it's just another level up with the storytelling. All right? I feel like we've all experienced this Wuthering Waves, is the game has almost always gotten better. They have some issues here and there with other things, but when it comes to the story, they have only gone up and up drastically. And this is basically also my 2.4 review as well for the Flames of Heart story. The setup, the execution, how it was paced out, the enemy, the villains we dealt with, the enemies we hate were so well written and played out. The voice actors did an amazing job. All right, they killed it. And then the finish, where even though we finished it, it was a happy ending to an extent. Mia still died. People are still kind of sad about that. And it was finished off exceptionally well, even the fact that we weren't even the main character in the story. It was Lupa. And they did such a good job with transitioning her as the main character. And we are basically a god in this game, in essence. And we kind of played our role as that overseer, a god. And oh my god, like it's so good. And this is effectively done in about an hour and a half story, give or take 15 minutes. An hour and a half. You could burn through this. This did not feel like an hour and a half. It felt like a crisp 8-hour story, not in like boredom, but I was so enthralled, so invested. It was only an hour and a half, but I felt like I was watching, like, I don't even know, like Lord of the Rings or something. I was so it was short and sweet, but I was like taken into the world of this story. And I think that's just amazing. And it's hard to be, I mean, we're in gacha games, gacha games, these were traditionally phone games. And then we branched off into the idea kind of transitioning into PC with releases like Genshin Impact, is I think what really brought it into the PC verse, the gacha on the PC verse. And then we have other PC games like WoWo, like World Exploration, and ZZZ as well. And I think WoWo right now is doing an exceptionally well job of making this, thinking this less as a gacha game, but more of a game with gacha features. A story game with gacha features instead of a gacha game with a story. And oh my god, it's amazing. And I'm not going to say anything about anything else, but I'm super excited about 2.5 just with the story, because it's kind of like a mainline story. And how they've done so well with the last 2.0, 2.2 story, even 2.1 was pretty good. And then 2.4 was amazing. We're getting another mainline story in 2.5, and from what I've heard, we're also getting a main one in 2.6 as well. So that would eliminate, if they did that, and we had a main story in every patch, that would basically kind of eliminate the whole, oh god, we have to go through like a month and a half wait for the next fucking main story, like a filler patch and stuff. We went through 2.3. Oh god, that was rough. All right. But if we could have a mainline story every patch, and the only difference between each patches being big or small was if they had just more events or a new world a new zone to explore, and that's it, I'd be quite content, because this is a story I'm invested in. I want to read, I want to watch, and I want to see how this ends. I do. And yeah, I know this kind of went off on a tangent. This was never really a scripted little video here. No matter how hard I try, I can't make a script to save my life. But yeah, I'm just going to say this. Wuwa Kuro Games, he made a villain. It's a pretty damn good one as well. And I can't wait to see what else he does. As he said, gotta wait till the more chapters, find out what goes on. Anyways, yeah. Good job. Did an amazing job. I enjoyed every second of that story. It's quick, concise, but I was enthralled. And I think a lot of you were too. But anywho, I'm sure you're tired of listening to me. This is also my 2.4 story review as well, so I completely forgot about that. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I know, a 10 out of 10. Holy shit. There's always room for improvement. You're right. There is always room for improvement. But I should not degrade something for a guesstimate in the future that could happen. All right? Now, is this a perfect story? No. It's not a perfect story. I have issues. Actually, I don't really have issues with it. But it's not a perfect story. But to me, it's a 10 out of 10 story. Straight up. It's paced well. It was written well. It was voiced well. Animations were clean. Music was spectacular, which you're listening to right now. But yeah. If you enjoyed this, if you enjoyed me rambling and doing stupid stuff and not saying anything of coherent sense, give me a like or a comment if you have any opinions on the fact. And maybe hit me with a subscribe for more of this. But anywho, y'all have a good one. And go away now. Ciao.